To me, the perfect burger bun should have a really nice light texture, be well seasoned, should be able to hold a couple smash burgers or a big juicy 8-ounce burger. My secret ingredient though to the perfect burger bun: potato. Let's do this. The first thing I do is prepare my potato. I just do this the night before, so it's really easy. In the morning I've got it all ready to go. Prepare mashed potato like you usually would. I do actually have a really good gadget which gives a wonderful texture to the mashed potato. This potato ricer here, and it gets a really nice amount of air in the potato. Next morning I weigh out some whole milk, and I'm going to warm this up gently in the microwave for about 30 seconds or so. Add my dried yeast in and give that a little mix. You just want that milk to activate that yeast, so put that to one side whilst you measure out your other ingredients. I'm going to start off with some plain flour, weigh that out, pop it into your mixing bowl, and some strong bread flour as well. Add that in, and some brown sugar, some salt. Also, I'm going to weigh out that mashed potato and add that in. Now I've got all of those dry ingredients in the mixing bowl, I'm going to add in some wet ingredients, an egg, some melted butter as well. Attach my dough hook. And you can see now that yeast is activated with the milk. If you don't see those air bubbles, I'd suggest that you disregard that yeast because it's probably dead. You want to use some fresh yeast which is going to be active. You want to have this on a low to medium mixing speed and just let those dry ingredients mix with those wet ingredients. What I like to do when I'm doing this, 2-3 minutes in, is just use my dough scraper to release any flour which is caught to the bottom. This can sometimes happen. Leave that for 5 minutes, keep an eye on it. I will pre-warn you, this is a wet dough, so don't panic. The most important thing is not to add in any more flour. Sometimes you're working with a really wet dough, you're thinking, oh, it's so wet, so sticky, let's use some flour. But no, work with this. Scrape all of that dough out into a pre-oiled mixing bowl here. And now you want to let that prove until it's doubled in size. I would suggest an hour, hour and a half, ideally a warm place. It can prove in a slightly cooler temperature as well, which will really help develop the flavour and the texture in the bread. If you don't have a mixer, you can do this all by hand and it's exactly the same procedure. I weigh out all of my dry ingredients. The slight difference will be I'll just use my dough scraper here to mix those dry ingredients together slightly, and then I can add in my egg. And weigh out that potato as well. Add that into the mix and the melted butter. And once the yeast is activated by the milk, you can pour that in. If you are doing it by hand, I use my dough scraper to incorporate those dry and wet ingredients, and you don't really want to get your hands in there until you've got all of those together. Once the dough scraper has done its job, I tend to hold on to the bowl with one hand and use my other hand to mix and incorporate the dough. With my hand, I use a claw-like motion to bring that dough together, and it's really important you're kneading this dough for at least 10 minutes. This will help develop the gluten and it will also give the bread a really nice texture and start to develop those air bubbles. So this is super sticky, but you do need to persevere with it. You just need to keep mixing it and just remember all of that kneading is doing the bread a lot of good. Then I tend to clean my hands off and use my dough scraper just to scrape the dough and then put this into a lightly oiled bowl that I have prepared. This dough can have its first prove as well. When the dough is proved, I like to get prepared and use some baking parchment to line this baking tin. You can put that to one side and then really generously flour your work surface. You want a lot of flour because this dough is pretty sticky. You can see this dough is really doubled in size, it's really expanded and has this lovely texture. I want to use my dough scraper to get this out onto the work surface. You don't want to knock this back too much. This dough mixture will make 6 even buns. Measure out the dough and then divide into 6, and then you just want to divide this all up until they're equal. The next stage is forming these potato buns. The way that I like to do this is stretch the dough bottom to top like I'm doing here. Do that a few times. Turn it over and then use your hands to drag the dough ball back. And what this will do is it will tighten up slightly and it will give it a really nice round shape. If you are enjoying my video, it would be a massive help if you could hit that like button. It really helps promote my video through the YouTube algorithm. Lay these buns out on your baking parchment, and then you want to put your plastic bag over and let these buns prove for the second time. This will take 45 minutes to an hour. And you can see on this second prove the buns have really risen very nicely, and now they're ready for the oven. These can go into a hot oven for 25-30 minutes. Keep an eye on them, you'll see them rise really nicely. And you want to be aiming for a really nice golden colour on top. You want to transfer these to a cooling rack. And then I'm going to use some melted butter, brush this over all of the potato buns. And this is great because it takes away that crispiness and it just gives the buns that brioche kind of golden fill and just adds to that flavour. These potato buns are beautiful. They have that wonderful golden brioche colour, and inside they have a really nice airy texture and are the perfect bun to make at home, a really nice alternative with potato. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.